Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome. In today's program, or in today's live show, I'm going to be talking about the subject of gun control and gun regulations and the shooting that happened in Las Vegas. It's tragic. There's no other way to put it. The thing is, there are some things that I want to keep in perspective regarding the gun control issue. And some have used the term of that he was a domestic terrorist. Now, so far as I know, nobody has been able to determine what the shooter's motives were. Without knowing what the motives were, you can't say it was terrorism. Because terrorism is defined as the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. And that is where the last is really what it hinges on, is in the pursuit of political aims. Without knowing what his motives were, there is no way to say that it was political. So it is an argument from ignorance to say we don't know what his motives were, but he was a domestic terrorist. No. If we don't know what his motives were, we don't know what his motives were. We can't say he was a terrorist or he was anything other than he was fucking crazy. The thing is, the idea that what is needed is more gun control. No. I am very big on the Second Amendment, but I was listening to the radio when I went into town earlier today, and I heard someone mention an article written by this clown. And I'm going to be showing you that article, because that article was this: if Newtown wasn't enough, why would Las Vegas be enough? It is to use the term liberal, bit of bullshit that really, what I want to focus on and hone in on is where this clown, and just so you guys can see who, it's that guy that wrote this shit. But what he said, Paddock came well prepared to exercise his Second Amendment freedoms on a pending crowd of Jason Aldean fans, and he did. What bothers me about that is the extreme stupidity of this. Well prepared to exercise his Second Amendment freedoms. Anyone, or I will even say Charles Pierce, you or any clown that wants to put forward this bit of bullshit, as said right here, anyone that goes along with that statement, prove to me, show me where in the Second Amendment that the freedoms that people can exercise are the right to murder. Show me that. So far as I know, the Second Amendment is just about the right to bear arms. It does not say you have the right to kill people. This is liberal, communist, I'll even go so far as to call it communist bullshit. Because what this is really wanting, what a clown like Charles Pierce really wants, is to have absolute government control over everybody's life. Because the only way that you are going to take away and stop tragedies from happening is if you take away people's ability to do things, to make choices. Because so long as people have the freedom of choice, there will be some that want to use that to harm others. The thing is, the other thing I want to show you guys is experts agree gun control works. And just so there's no doubt, when you take away the guns from people, what you're setting up for is an absolute dictatorship where people can be mowed down, killed at will, and you can't do a fucking thing. Also, if you take away the guns from those that are law-abiding, do you think, seriously think, that you're going to take away the guns from the criminals? Maybe the liberal mindset, and I'm liberal. In a lot of ways, I am a liberal. But this level of stupidity, I don't regard it as liberal. I regard it as downright communist. Because it is about taking away people's freedom. This isn't about guns. This is about your freedom. You cannot prevent people from being able to make choices that are tragic. People using bad judgment for whatever their motivation was. Now, one of the things Mac in the comment section had said, the bastard's Second Amendment rights allow him to have his bumped up assault weapons. The thing is, having them and using them to kill people is a different issue. Just because somebody can have a car, they would have the means by which to run down people. Does that mean the majority of people that have cars are going to run innocent people down? Should we ban cars because that was done already of some lunatics, and it could even be argued that that was set up to happen in order to push an agenda? The thing is, do we ban everything that could be used to harm someone? That is setting a dangerous slope to be on. Yeah, assault weapons are dangerous. So is a car. So is any gun. It doesn't need to be an assault weapon. Any gun can kill. The idea that it is about taking away the guns of, basically it comes down to law-abiding people. Those that are obeying the law aren't going to go out and do things like this because they obey the law. What we have are people that are lunatics, that for whatever reason they snap and lose their fucking mind. What gets me with this clown is he was a multimillionaire and did this shit. I'm sorry, if I would be a multimillionaire, I would not be one to be going out and shooting people. Shit, for the most part, if I'm a multimillionaire, I'm not going to go out in public any more than buy groceries and take care of, in a sense, myself and my family. I don't give two shits about, but I also have no desire to kill people. thing is, even when I was in the Army and I had to be on a range with an M16, I could not shoot for shit. Now, it was asked of me when I was, when they were talking to me about potentially re-enlisting, and I wasn't going to, but it was raised one of, could the reason that I could never really qualify with a weapon was that I couldn't shoot, or because I didn't want to kill people. And it was one I can't say for certain in that. But Mac has said machine guns have one purpose and they're not for hunting weapons. He had a legal device that turned the semi-auto rifles into full automatic weapons. The high rate of fire enabled the high casualties. I agree with the aspect of the weapon he had, but I don't think banning them would change anything. No more than banning cocaine, marijuana, so forth, has stopped people from getting those drugs. Just like the prohibition of the banning of alcohol, that didn't stop people from drinking. Just because something is banned does not mean that people will not be able to get their hands on it if they want to. Because somebody that is going to be engaging in criminal activity to begin with, I don't see the logic in trying to be, well, they're going to be concerned with what is able to be obtained legally. Really? I don't understand that mindset. Because these people are displaying, by virtue of what they're doing, that they're not interested in obeying the law, or in, to use the term, anyone but themselves. So why the hell should we expect that whatever laws would be on the books regarding a subject, that they would care? I just don't understand that mindset. The aspect of, are automatic weapons harmful? Absolutely. And yes, Mac, I agree, the only purpose of an assault weapon and so forth is for killing people. There's no doubt about that. The aspect of full automatic, when I was in the Army, the M16s that we had were semi-automatic, and they would have the ability to go to a 3-round burst. The idea that the high rate of fire enabled the high casualties, honestly, with a full automatic weapon, what you have is what is termed spray and pray. Simply put. Because with every time you fire the weapon, that muzzle will rise. And there is a bit of recoil. Even all weapons have recoil. So what you will have with a fully automatic weapon is your accuracy goes to shit. You're not able to use the term sniper anything. You're just spray and pray. Because when you have that level of rounds going through that quick, you're not going to be able to have a sight picture and so forth, because you're just firing rounds. And in that, yes, those weapons they're only designed really for war. But I don't see where banning something is the solution. And it bothers me, and I see it as dangerous to have the mindset of people's knee-jerk reaction is when there is a tragedy of this nature, their immediate reaction is take away people's freedom. That really disturbs me, because just because you have lunatics that will use something as a means to kill a lot of people, I don't see the logic in saying take away the freedoms of everyone, of those that aren't going around doing these things, that they shouldn't have the freedom to have a weapon. I don't see the point, personally, of having a fully automatic weapon. I'm not a gun collector either. The thing is, if somebody's going to collect something, that's all well and good. I mean, you can collect anything you want. And just about anything can be used to kill. It's the aspect of high casualties. The aspect of numbers, you still have, in a sense, the same. There, I think it's more of an argument of semantics, the aspect of whether something is a tragedy if one life is lost. The idea that you have to have 50 to 100 or over 500 wounded and so forth in order to be a tragedy, I think is negating the loss of a single life. The Second Amendment does not give anybody the right to kill. I want to make that very, very clear. And the idea that it was about hunting. Nowhere in the Second Amendment does it say diddly-do about hunting. Now, it's true that people throughout history ever since guns were invented, have used guns to hunt. But guns are not the only thing used for hunting, let's be clear. Bow and arrow, so forth, all kinds of weapons have been used for hunting. Hunting is not something that requires high rounds. I mean, if you're using the aspect of a semi or an automatic weapon to hunt, you would be destroying the meat of whatever you would be trying to hunt. So what exactly are you trying to accomplish? It's not about that at all. I get that. However, I don't agree with the aspect of government control, because frankly, I don't see where more government regulations, governments taking away people's freedom, I don't see where that would make for a safer country. If anything, I see it as it would make things less free. Because the more government you have, the more you have Big Brother watching over everything you do. You can't prevent a tragedy. There is no way. The guy had no criminal history. There was no reason to think that he was going to do what he did. Yes, it was tragic. Yes, the person should have been stopped. And I think he was killed. The thing is, you can't stop people from making choices. And that is the big issue. Because people want a hand wring about They want to hand-wring about the idea of all of these lives were lost. But the truth of the matter is, lives will be lost for various reasons. Be it a drunk driver, and the aspect of the number of casualties. One drunk driver, think about this, people. One drunk driver, depending on what time they're on the road and where they would be located, especially what city, a car accident can cause massive loss of life, massive casualties. And it doesn't even need to be a drunk driver. There was one point I had heard about, there was an issue of fog. That it was extremely foggy in an area. And there was like a 20 to so car pileup. The thing is, you can't prevent a tragedy. And taking away people's freedom, taking away people's ability to make their own choices. I don't see that as the solution. I really don't. I don't see where that does anything but enable a society of slaves. And free spirit, I agree with you. I'm all for gun rights. And I feel very strongly in there needs to be firm repercussions for those that would choose to engage in behavior of this nature. Yes, it's tragic. Yes, it should not be, and I don't think it would ever be tolerated or permitted. But because if the person wouldn't be killed, they would be standing trial and so forth. But my personal feeling is they should. Someone that goes and does anything like this, of course, take them out, shoot them. No need to pretty much fill up our court system with a piece of shit. Just execute the bastard. I don't care. Especially when we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is the jackass that was doing the shooting. I don't see any reason why when the cops go in, they shouldn't go in shooting. Don't try to take him and just wound him. Fuck that. Kill the bastard. I have very little sympathy, if to use the term no sympathy, for those that would do harm to others. Then it's one of you get what you deserve. But just because people have the ability to do something does not mean they're going to. The vast majority of gun owners are not going out and doing shit like this. I agree, it's horrible. And it is good that he's dead. We won't have to pay the fee. Absolutely, free spirit. I personally, now this is getting into the aspect of the prison system and like the death penalty. I feel there's a lot of red tape that drags it out over 10 years that I don't think really should be permitted. I would say it should take no more than a year at most, because whatever issues, yes, there have been cases where an innocent person has been found, to have not committed a crime 10 or so years after the fact. But the truth of the matter is, for the vast majority, those are the exceptions type of thing. And we can't base a society off of exceptions. Yeah, free spirit, I'm glad to see, in a sense, you're right there with me. Shoot the asshole. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Now, I have no doubt the conspiracy theorists are going to go fucking wild with this. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do have questions as to what his motive was. Because, and I'm not one that would jump on the he was a terrorist as a default. Not without evidence that it was political. Now, I had seen an article that ISIS claimed responsibility, but that I just kind of roll my eyes at, because upon what evidence is there that for ISIS to, yeah, they could say that they're responsible, but are they? In a sense, what do they have to gain by something like this? Sure, they can say it was their doing because, in a sense, what's anyone going to do to them type of thing because of this? It really comes down to evidence. That if you don't have evidence to support something, I think it's hysteria to try and be, yes, there were an X number of lives lost. Okay, fine. But to jump on a bandwagon of anything, because I don't think there can be any doubt that fucking ISIS are Looney Tune in their own ideology. So for somebody to say, yeah, I'm responsible for that, that's just a way for them to try and puff up their chest and draw attention to their bullshit, when really they may have had no more of an idea that this was going to happen than any of us did. They're just trying to look at it and be, how can we capitalize and use this or spin this to our own ends. Because that's what someone like ISIS is really interested in, is using whatever to fit their own agenda. He did it right, tell no one, shoot from above. Yes. In that, if there is an aspect of doing it right, yes. Where his location was, to use the term, perfect. But what bothers me and concerns me greatly are the lunatics like Alex Jones and the conspiracy theorists that no doubt will come out of the fucking woodwork making claims that this is some part of a big conspiracy. Because one of the things I was hearing about this jackass was that for 2 years back in the late 70s, he worked in post office. So what? So what in the 1970s he worked in post office? Who cares? I don't see what that would have to do with a goddamn thing. But after that, he was in either like CIA or government agency. The thing is, all of these things are all well and good, but at the end of the day, it's a matter of, does it equate to a hell of shit? Yes, I agree, Alex Jones is a dumb shit. But the conspiracy theorists are going to go fucking berserk. You can bank on it. Just like they have with every tragedy that has happened. They come out of the woodwork and they make up insane bullshit without any evidence to back it up, or their so-called evidence is one logical fallacy after another. And they try to hand-wring and act like it's some big conspiracy when there's no evidence to support it. But the idea that people should, in a sense, give up their guns I'm very much against that. I see worse tragedies that could happen because of people not having guns. Then, yes, you're. But the thing is, what we have here, it really is, can we prevent a lunatic from doing things that harm people? And the truth of the matter is, if you're going to have a free society, no, you can't. You cannot prevent somebody, for whatever reason, that they just snap and go and do whatever action. There is, in a sense, yes, we can look at it in hindsight and be, this person, after they do what they did, yes, take them out. But there's no way to say you're going to do X in a week or a few days or whatnot, or an hour from now, so we're going to kill you ahead of time. You can't do that, because you don't know the future any more than I do. None of us know what's going to happen even 5 minutes from now. All we're doing is able to react to what has happened. But what also, I roll my eyes at it, is the idea of, like, praying for those that lost their life and so forth. Those that are dead, they're dead. What good are prayers? And the idea of prayer in the first place. If a God would exist, it would have known this shit was going to happen, which means the God is just as culpable as the shooter. Because while we can't say X is going to happen in X time and so forth, if a God would exist and would be all-knowing, it would. It would know exactly when, where, so forth, that if there would be a desire to prevent something from happening, that magical being would have the ability to jump in and say, I'm not going to permit this. But the problem with that, and the problem with that whole mindset of a magical being intervening and doing anything, that in itself would take away our freedom, our ability to choose. Because you would have something that is inserting itself into our society. Yeah, prayer bothers the hell out of me. But one of the things that I've thought about this, and it's the idea of, if you could, and I've thought about this, putting myself in that position of, if I could, like, that quick, bring back everybody that was killed in this tragedy, my impulse would be, yeah, I'll do it. But when you stop and think about that, if somebody could do it and would, the repercussions of that would be, I think, ultimately worse than what the shooter did. Because what you would have is a society that they would stop looking for answers themselves. And instead they would look at whoever did the miracle thing to be, do it again, help us here, do this, do this, do this. And at that point, it would mean that, to use the term, we're not looking to solve anything ourselves. We're looking for magic to fix whatever we don't like or whatever doesn't go as we would want. And yeah, that can't happen. But even if something would have the ability, even if there would be, to use the term, a God, I think it would have to take a I refuse to get involved attitude, because the effect of if it would be far worse than the worst tragedy that we could imagine. Because all that would do is it would serve to validate people's idea that if they wish hard enough or appeal to some cosmic whatever, that they're going to get their wishes granted. And as long as even when we have, like we do now, of nothing, there's no evidence to support that these things can be done, that doesn't stop these lunatics from still believing that these things are possible. Can you imagine how much people would be buying into this shit if they had even one clear example of magic working? That it would throw us, I think, ultimately back into the Dark Ages. That is the level of damage that would come from one miracle. For as much as, to use the term, well-meaning as something miraculous could be, the appearance of it would be disastrous. My heart goes out to those that lost family members and were wounded in the tragedy in Vegas. But I'm not going to blow smoke up anyone's ass with, I'm going to wish about. No, I don't wish. I don't pray. I have no faith. Faith is bullshit. Prayer is bullshit. Appeals to a magical poobah are bullshit. But also, wanting Big Brother to step in and take away people's ability to make choices, I think, is just as dangerous. Yeah. Brave Spirit, I fully agree with, that, I think you can see the inherent danger of if we would have even one example of a miracle, of even one person being able to do something that is miraculous. The thing is, the FUBA? Oh, blasphemer, you crack me up. See, the thing is, I personally, my issue is, I'm about freedom. People having the freedom to make their own choices. And when you have freedom and people being able to make and have the freedom and choice to do what they want, you're going to have the risk of things like this or others happening. It's just a side effect of the freedoms that we enjoy. What I would say is it should show us, one, don't take even a day for granted. Don't take anyone for granted. They may not be in your life tomorrow. You don't know. Don't be having pie in the sky ideas like of an afterlife. Enjoy your life and live your life now to the fullest. Don't be looking to try and have some grand anything, because the aspect of you could be buying into a pie in the sky idea. Yes, they are missing out on life, because one of the things you hear from these believers is that if they die and there isn't their whatever, that they've lost nothing. No, that's not true. You've lost a great deal, because you based your life and the choices you made in life on this premise. And if that premise is not true, your life was a lie. You wasted your entire life on nothing, on a meaningless idea. And that is where to say that you've lost nothing, that's extremely short-sighted. But I want to stress for everybody, yes, what happened in Vegas is an absolute tragedy, but don't compound one tragedy with another. Banning things doesn't work. It doesn't stop people from getting them. It didn't work with alcohol. It hasn't worked with drugs. It doesn't work with anything. Now, there are some things that I agree should not be, to use the term, legal. And even though it's not legal, people still get a hold of it. And still, some, I should say, not all. Because one of the things that comes to my mind in that was the spokesman for a lot of years of Subway. That child porn was found on his computer and so forth. Child porn's always been, as far as I know, illegal. But that does not stop those that want to engage in that type of behavior from getting whatever they desire. Okay, the aspect, well, the near-death experience claims what those people are really showing is that they do not understand what the word near means. There is everything that would come in would be a matter of what you term brain stuff. Yeah. It's no different than when you go to sleep at night. Your brain will fire off all kinds of stupid shit. It doesn't mean that the stupid shit that your brain comes up with when you're sleeping is evidence of anything. But yeah, it's something that I see the religion ideas as being, in a sense, as harmful as a gun. But there are so many different examples that can be given of what is illegal that people still get their hands on. Another example I can give is the aspect like bestiality. So far as I know, that's always been illegal. But there are those, what I would call sick bastards, that they want to engage in that. They're going to do it. It doesn't matter if you ban it and so forth. Those that want to do whatever are going to find a way to do it. And by taking away and banning guns, all you're doing is taking away the guns from people that do obey the law. But yeah, that's, well, blasphemer, the aspect of, to use the term, near-death experiences and things of that nature. The problem with that, I've had my own, to use the term, near-death experiences, and every single time it does seem that what I had seen is directly related to what my mood was going into it. And I don't know if, well, that would most likely, in a sense, that would stand to reason that whatever your emotional state is, whatever you are thinking and are occupied with, that's what your brain's going to fire at you. Or things along those lines. It certainly doesn't lead to the idea of some kind of afterlife. Because if there would be, your emotional state right before should not matter. The only way it would is if it is all induced by the brain. But yeah, I find it interesting that people, when a tragedy happens, they look to basically give up their freedom. It's disturbing. And it makes me wonder, it's not even the majority of people, but there are those. And unfortunately, at least in America, it seems that those, the most vocal, are also in the their celebrity status, as if some jackass having a job in Hollywood, that means everyone else should listen to them about whatever. Why? It's like, I like pro wrestling, but just because a pro wrestler would say something other than what would be along the lines of their job and things that would relate to that, I'm not going to take their views on anything and be giving two shits. Just like if I like someone doing that, they're an actor, like, and he was a former wrestler, and he does act now, Dwayne Johnson. Just because I like I like his work, doesn't mean that when he says something, oh, that means I have to go along with it. No. This idea that you have to just go along with whatever celebrity you like, why? By the same token, it's like, I also like Howard Stern, to a point. Some of the shit that he would do, I would find tasteless and not funny. But just because I overall like his work doesn't mean that I have to go along with everything he thinks. And Blasphemer had said, I have a couple of pistols, but I don't have anything in me that tells me I'm going to go on a killing spree. I think it takes some kind of social bent, in most cases religion. That is probable. Now, with like the aspect of the Vegas shooter, what I've heard thus far is that he was not religious in any way. But like I've said at the top of this, we don't know at this point what his motives were. I had heard that he had filed a lawsuit against a hotel and so forth because he fell back in like 2012. Whoop-de-fucking-do. If that was his motivation, he was fucking Looney Tune to begin with. But it doesn't matter if the motivation would be religion or whatnot. In most cases, the aspect of religion, and I'll touch on this briefly before I wrap this up. I'll probably do another live show tonight. And if you guys have any thoughts on what you would like me to cover later, let me know either here or on my Facebook account that I think I've had links to and so forth. Or you can shoot me a message on Skype. The thing is, where the hell was I going with that? But the aspect of, like, what I'm going to do tonight, because, to use the term, my teeth are in and they're in to stay for quite a while. So, but the aspect of, like, what Blasphemer had said about guns and so forth, yeah, they're not gonna... I've had it... I don't have guns around me too much. But there was one point, I stayed over at a friend's place, and another friend had a handgun that was sitting on the kitchen table. And it was there all night. Nobody touched it. And surprise, surprise, it didn't magically get up and start shooting anybody. In order for guns to kill, some jackass has to pick it up and fire. But, oh, what? That shooter has a house 30 minutes from you? Free spirit? Eek. Yeah, I agree. But, not that he's going to be doing anything now, given the fucker's dead, but the idea that, in a sense, madness could be that close. Yeah. But one of the things that I'll throw it out because I could do videos, a live video on it later, is a subject that has come to my mind, like the idea of ghosts, hauntings. And I don't believe in ghosts and the paranormal. And it's something that my girlfriend and I have talked about because she believes in that. And basically it was a source of irritation for her, the aspect of I am so, in a sense, analytical and science-based. That for me, there has to be a logical, rational, and even, to use the term, scientific explanation. I don't buy into woo-woo. I don't buy into the ideas of we don't know, so magic. That doesn't work. That doesn't explain anything. It's an argument from ignorance. Now, it's one I've also said to her, these, like, supposedly haunted houses and so forth, I have an issue with the claim of somewhere being haunted. And this was mentioned by a woman where I work with the security guard, because I'm a security guard now, folks. And the thing is, she had mentioned about this, I guess some haunted whatnot, that they would be interested if it wouldn't be like $150 to go. And I'm like, wait a minute. If they're wanting to say this place is fucking haunted, why should I have to pay them to go there? Because to me, they would have to, if they would be being paid to be a haunted place, how do I know that whatever, if I would see or hear anything, how do I know it's just not part of the show? Oh, Free Spirit, you had an IHOP shooting that was 5 minutes. Damn. Yeah, that can. But yeah, the aspect of Free Spirit, I can talk about the subject of ghosts in another live show later tonight if you guys want. It's. Yeah, Blasphemer, I have no doubt that your ass is haunted sometimes. But that would be a shitty subject. But yeah, I definitely agreed. Well, yeah, if it's money, it's bullshit. The aspect of, because to me, I had heard about, now I don't know if it was ever anything legit, but the idea of if you survive this haunted house for like X period of time, you get like $1 million. I wish if that something like that would be legit, because I would be, sign me the fuck up. Because I would go into something like that laughing at them and being, have your checkbook ready. Because I would go in expecting whoever would be behind it to make up bullshit. They would have to prove to me that it is supernatural. And just weird sounds of woo, that ain't gonna do it. But anyway, for those that are watching this after it is not live, feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And Blasphemer, Free Spirit, if you guys have any ideas about what you would like me to cover later, just let me know. And talk to you later, people.